Manager internal or external? Manager internal or external? Manager involved in the process or not? External. Manager does not involve in the process. Manager just receive the report. Okay. Manager involved in the process, then manager will become the internal entity. When the manager is inside the company, sometimes people get confused. They thought internal entity are those who are in the company. No, it depends on what process that particular entity perform. Yeah. All right. So now we have customer, cloud foreman, supplier, and manager. Okay, so this is the first steps. When you want to prepare the context and also the FD. Identify the entity. That's basic. All right. So contact diagram shows the system boundary as an entities and the system. Okay, what system are we talking about? What system are we talking about? System that we talk about?
Maintenance service system.
Alright.
I think.
Zat seorang je ke yang ada ni? Yang lain tak nak cakap kan? Maintenance saya dah third class dah ni. Hari ni back to back. Maintenance. Dah letih bercakap dah. You kena cakap. Apa dah? Maintenance system kan? Maintenance and service system. Okay, maintenance and service system. Okay, we have how many external just now? How many external? How many external in the case? 3. Yeah, 3 external. Okay, 3 external. What are the external entity? Customer, manager, supplier. Okay. Manager and supplier. Okay. All right. So how these systems link with the external parties or external entities? A system linked through the data flow. Through the data. And the linkage is through the data. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, external entity are those entities that send input to the system, or those that receive output from the system. That is entity, external entity. Sending input to the system or receiving output from the system. Okay, so this is the linkage between system and its external entity. And these linkages depends on when the data was sent. When the input was sent, when the output was sent. So if the few or several inputs are sent together at one time, then we can combine it in one data flow. But if there's a time lag between the first input being sent to the system to the second input being sent to the system, then you have to show with the different flow, with the different separate flow. Okay. What is being sent from customer, or what are the inputs from customer to the system? What is the input from customer to the system? Read through the customer ID. Okay, what else? Read through the read through the passage here. Yeah. When a walk-in customer arrive, I see the customer need to inform the particular car details to the clerk on duty. So send customer and car details. Customer and car details. Customer and car details. Okay. And then what is the output from the system to the customer? What's the output from system to the customer? What did the customer receive from the system? After completing the service, okay? After completing the service, and then the clerk prepare the bill to customer. So bill details from the system to the customer. Next, customer will make payment. Okay, so another input from customer to the system is the payment. Payment details. Payment details, right? And another one, after customer make payment to the system, and then customer will receive receipts, receipt details, receipts from the system. And remember, when you are labeling the data flow in context diagram, the label must be in the logical form. In the logical form. And it's not the name of the document, but it's the description of what is the content of the documents. So we talk about data, about details, receipt details, payment details, bukan not label with check, invoice, receipt, but what is the content of the documents. Okay, all right. And then what about manager? How manager is connected to the system? Manager send input or receive output from the system?
Receive output letter.
Receive output. What is the output received?
Report summary.
Yeah, report summary. Report summary or sales summary details, sales report details. What about supplier? 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 Akma. Akma. Fatihah. Fatihah Nadira. Saya kena ambil. I think I have to record attendance for few times for each class. The name appear, but when I call the name, nobody reply. Bagaimana ni? Fatihah, Saidah, Shazana, Tulasi. What is received by the supplier from the system? Supplier receive order. Yes, order details. Yeah, because if the parts, there's a the needs and the needs to reorder, then the supplier will receive order. Order details from the system. Okay, order details from the system. So this is the examples of your context diagram. Okay, context diagram. Very simple, very straightforward question. And the context diagram shows the system and its external entity, and the external entities are connected by the data flow. Data flow, data in and data out. Data in and information out. Input to the system, output from the system. So you have to label it. Okay. This is the context diagram. And then we move on to the next question. After you prepare the context diagram, the next requirement is to prepare the DFD. Okay, DFD. DFD, we have two types of DFD. And the FD, we have logical and physical DFD. Okay. For the physical DFD, okay. Before that, for the FD is explosion of the context diagram. It's a detail up the context diagram, because context diagram is the lowest level of the FD. So it means that when we have the FD, we have to explode. We have to show the details. Yeah, this bubble. We want to see the details within this bubble. What's inside this bubble? What's inside the system? Okay. So while maintaining the external entity, that's one concept that we call as balance DFD. And balance DFD means that uh, the numbers of external entity will appear same in context in the FD. Let's say here if we have three external entity in the context diagram, it means that you will have the same numbers, the same external entity in your DFD. You bring down this, bring along this entity, these entities, this external entity in your DFD. Okay, customer, you have the same entity here, same external entity. Okay, and then we have supplier. And also we have the manager. Ini nanti masih exams. I don't like to talk about exam. I mean, our purpose is not only for exam. Our purpose of learning is not only for exam. Yeah, so this one is the application, application that the skills that you're gonna bring along later. I have students who have already graduated and then are working now. Okay, but they mention they have to use back what they have learned. Probably mungkin awal-awal tetap, but as you go up the level, then you find out that this theoretical understanding, this fundamental understanding is very important. And when you prepare, when you are in charge of a particular business process or a system in the organizations, you don't imagine that system ni you hanya nak tengok pada computerized system, no. And when you are in charge to oversee the business process in the organization, it's called a system. Manual pun system juga. Computerized is also system. We had discussion with the industry player. If you manage to join the top from the industry players that I shared with you the name before. Okay, if you manage to join, you can see, you can get the input from the outside, saying that one of the problems with the accounting grads, with the grads, that these the employers are hiring, including our students. And one of the problems with the accounting grads, if is they don't know, they cannot see the business process, they cannot understand the business process, which is very basic, very basic. We discuss with you, we expose you to the business process in ICE paper. Yeah, what are the activities, how the sales process looks like, how the purchase process looks like. Yeah, what are the behind scenes. Yeah, so this is very important. Very important what I said. Sometimes when you pergi, you first grab, you buat kerja audit kan. You nak check, you just vouch all the documents. You might not see the whole process. But when you become manager, when you become senior, you have to look at the overall process. Then you will find it important to understand the business process. Even if you talking about the manual process, manual system, you want to convert to the computerized system, you are not converting just a component. You are converting the whole system together. Okay, you have to understand the whole system, how this data being captured, how it is being processed, when this data will go after the process, what happened to the information, and when to generate the output. So it is very important for you to understand the whole business process. Have an eagle view perspective daripada atas tu, helicopter view, and looking at the whole process that happens in the organization. Okay, same thing. Okay, yeah. Why I highlighted this issue, because this is fresh from the industry. The industry complains that some of the accounting grads they do not understand the business process. That is the basic failure. If you don't understand the business process, that is basic failure. Yeah. They don't ask you the questions in the textbook during the interview, but they will ask you general questions that lead to whether you understand or not what is the business process. So that's very important for you to know this basic understanding. Uh, and those activities that we show in the DFD is part of the business. Right? So here we have logical and physical DFD. Yeah, two types of DFD, logical and physical DFD. Okay, logical DFD, we want to explore this system, yeah, this one, want to explore into details process. What happened in the system? Okay, and if we talk about physical DFD, we want to know who are the internal entities handling the process, handling the activities within the system. So that's the difference between logical and physical DFD. Okay, I hope it's clear. Yeah? So when we talk about logical, it's about the process. Process, we want to know the process. Okay, or the activities. When we talk physical, we want to know about internal entity who handling the process. Okay, right. So we're exploding that bubble, that process bubble into smaller activities or smaller processes. Okay. Um, looking at this, okay, narrative, can you find how many processes exist in this narrative? How many processes exist in this narrative? Eh? Read through and try to find out how many processes exist in the narrative. Remember, those activities that happen at the same time, at the same place, can be considered as one activity or one process. If it happens in a different place, different time, then it's a separate process. Just go through, read through, and find out how many processes you can find from this narrative. Kita tengok sekarang. Physical, what was the question? Physical, both internal and external or internal only. Physical, of course, you show the internal entity who handling the process and the external entity maintain. Yeah? So you will have both external and internal entity. External entity memang ada. In the FD, you maintain from context, it goes to the FD. Okay, what I mentioned just now, physical, internal means that the bubble that you want to explode. Okay, Shamimi, is it clear? External mesti ada, external maintain because we want to have a balanced DFD. Balanced DFD means that the same external entity that exists or that appear in your context will also appear in your DFD. It's just that the bubble that you want to explode, apa yang ditunjukkan. So in physical DFD, the bubble shows internal entity. But in the logical DFD, the bubble shows the process performed by the internal entities. Okay, berapa process now? How many processes that you can form? 5 process. Okay, other answers? Can we say 5 process? Other answers? Other answers? Other answers? Nak kena check siapa yang ada ni. You have to do now, You have to do now. Saya tak rugi kalau you tak buat, tapi you akan rugi kalau you tak cuba. Where are the others? Siapa tinggal 29 je? 29 je ke yang hadir hari ni? How many entities? We have, Shamini said 5 others. Daniel, Daniel, are you around? Before that, anyone in the campus right now? Siapa ada di campus sekarang? Anisha. Anisha lagi? Anisha, campus Balkis, I think. Balkis ada?
Saya stranded dekat kampung, Doktor.
Dah balik dah?
Bukan, akan balik raya. Lepas tu tak boleh balik.
Oh, you balik raya. Oh,
PKPD.
alright. Kat mana?
Kedah, Mergong.
Oh, bagus. Yang lain? Siapa lagi dekat campus? Anyone else di campus? Anisha sihat ke? Campus. Okay. Alright. Five process. What about others? How many processes? How many processes? 6. Is that 6? Okay. Other answers? Other answers? Zifeng. Fahmi said 4 process. Okay. Zifeng. What about you? You have another 3 weeks saja lagi with me. Okay. So this is the time to get to know each other. 4. Zifeng said 4. So we have 4, 5, 6. Yeah. The formation of process could be different between you because it's based on your interpretations. But it's always that the same activities happen at the same time.
你
Okay, I'm back. Continue working on your DFD. It gives me some rest because I'm talking since 8:30 in the morning. Okay, I'm back. Nice to see you. Hi. All right. Hi. Okay. Not so soon that we end the session. Right? Lagi sikit lagi. 10 minit lagi. Okay, we go back to the apa tadi ni? To our case, the narrative. Right. Okay. All right. Going back to the apa tadi? Process. Yeah. So now we have one process. We have two process. Yeah. Why I combine this? Remember when we talk about process, it might show that there's some changes. Yeah, some changes happens to the data. Yeah, macam sini record and creating new records. Yeah, this one record the details and updates. So there's a changes in the data that is considered as process. Yeah. Okay, the third process, and then record all parts that are used for maintenance service in the inventory file, and if not possible, if not sufficient, then he will put the remark in that file. Okay. First, he records the details of service in the customer car file. The second one records the parts in the inventory file. Record the parts used. Records all parts that are used. First one record the details in the customer file. Second one records parts in the inventory file. Yeah. Okay. Next, the clerk brief to the customer on the technical aspect maintenance that have been performed. Okay, and then prepare bills to customer. Yeah, so here prepare bills to customer. Okay, you can combine brief customer and prepare bills. Yeah, so prepare bill is important because you are creating a new document, you are creating a new data. Kalau you put as brief saja, brief customer is just you talking but there's nothing change in the data. So brief customer and prepare bills to customer. You have to combine that. Okay. And then customer will make payment and issues receipt to customer. So this is another receive payment and issue receipts, another process. Yeah. And then at the end of the week, the clerk checks the parts. Yeah. And then place order for those inventories that drop to the minimum level. So place new order. So place order, you issue order. Issue order to the supplier. So creating new data, order data. Okay, right? And then at the end of the month, clerk use the reports to prepare inventory reports. So another process is prepare sales and inventory reports. So how many process altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 or 8. Bukan saja saya ada 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. In my case, I have 7. You might have 8. You might have 6. You combine. You can combine, but check when the process happens, the activities happens. Okay. At the same time, at the same place, you can combine. Different time at the same place, we separate. Different time, different place, we separate. Okay. Right. So now let's say I have 7 process. Now I will explode. Then I will explode this bubble into 7 smaller bubbles. 7 separate bubbles in my logical DFT. Bubbles yang tadi lah. The one that you mentioned just now. And that you capture from the narrative. Capture from the narrative. One point tadi apa records kan? Records and customer details. Okay. Cars and customer details. So when you prepare logical DFD, the label must be in verb because it's a process kan. Verb means perbuatan. Yeah. Records, updates, delete, okay, issues, print, those verbs. You use verbs to label the process. Okay. Right. Records, card and customer details in apa? Where? In the customer car file. Customer's car file. So records in the customer's car files. So you have another symbol. Where is it? This one. Files. Customer car. Okay. This one already tell you it's a file symbol. Okay. Alright. The customer will send or will give input about the car details, about the customer details to the system, to the first activity. Yeah, give the input here. Then we record it. Yeah, the cloud will record it in the file here. Record in the file here, right? So it goes for another 6, 7 bubbles. Okay. So you have to create what are the other bubbles at the 7 kan? 7 bubbles. So what's next? I think you know how to do it. Yeah. You just organize the structure. Okay. Put in those 6, 7 processes that you have formed from the previous narrative. From the narrative. So if you say there are 6 process, means there will be 6 bubbles. Label it and then find the flow, right? In, out, okay, and then what's next? Yeah, that one I think you can do on your own. Mungkin you nak kena break sekarang ni, nak pergi makan ke, solat ke, right? For next class. So I'm not going to show you the answer here, but I already guide you what to do. So you have 5, 6. Okay, so now you have 6 processes here. Okay. So the 4 main elements that you have to mention or you have to identify in the FD, okay, the external entity, the process, the files, and the data flow. So there's always 4 elements in your DFD. Okay. So examples. I think you can continue, isn't it? Make sure it's a balanced DFD where you have the same numbers, the same external entity in context and also in the FD. And then you find out the processes and you connect. Connect based on the details. And again, the labels here must be logical form. Not logical form, like car and customer details. Yeah? Summary, inventory summary, sales summary, order details, order data, right? Okay. So your diagram might be different from my diagram a bit, and depending on how you name the processes. Yeah, but basically external, process, data storage, data flow. The four elements in here. Right? Okay. That's your exercise that you can try. Try to do it on your own. You can, set a timer to see if you will be able to prepare it on your own. Okay. I'm happy to see some of the diagrams that have been submitted. Yeah, but I also have some concerns, a little concerns on other diagrams. Okay, so check it. Okay, you can do it. Right? Okay, boleh? Can you continue on your own?
Boleh doktor.
Right. And do some exercise. Brain exercise. Tak mau tidur-tidur. Okay? Right? So I think that's it for today.